Hello, my name is Hassan Nafid. I'm an anatomy and physiology instructor at Madison College in Wisconsin. We will continue talking about the respiratory system. In the last few videos, we talked about the upper respiratory tract and the first part of the lower respiratory tract, that is the bronchial tree. This time, we're going to talk about the lungs anatomy and the lungs structure. Lungs are part of the lower respiratory tract that are found inside the thoracic cavity. We have one lung in each side of the chest, right lung and left lung. Each lung is enclosed in a membrane. That membrane protects the lungs and helps in the movement and expansion of the lungs due to the presence of liquid between the two layers of this membrane. This membrane is known as the pleura. We have a parietal pleura that lines up the thoracic cavity from inside, and we have the visceral pleura which lines up the actual surface of the lung. Each lung is divided into lobes. Let's take a look at the lungs anatomy in this model. So, looking at the lung model here, we have right lung and left lung. The right lung has 3 lobes. Upper lobe, a middle lobe, and a lower lobe. They are separated by fissures. This is a fissure. This is known as the oblique fissure, and it separates the lower lobe from the middle lobe. And this is known as the horizontal fissure, and it separates the upper lobe from the middle lobe. If you go to the left side, we have only 2 lobes and 1 fissure. We have an upper lobe and a lower lobe, and they are separated by the oblique fissure. The area or the space between the 2 lungs is known as the mediastinum, and this is the space that contains the heart, the pericardium, and the great vessels. Also, I want you to notice here on the left side or the left lung the presence of this space. This is known as the cardiac notch, and that makes the left lung loses some of its tissue. That's why it does have only 2 lobes compared to 3 lobes on the left side. The lung has 2 regions, an upper part that is known as the apex and a lower part that is known as the base. Also, the lung is supplied or assisted by the major respiratory muscle, and this is known as the diaphragm. So the diaphragm is the major respiratory muscle and is supplied by the phrenic nerve. The diaphragm also separates the thoracic cavity from the abdominal cavity. So anything below the diaphragm is known as the lower part of the body, and anything above the diaphragm is known as the upper part of the body. If I open the lungs for you, you're going to see the branches of the bronchial tree again that are seen in each of the lungs. Each lung or each lobe of the lung is divided further into lobules, and these lobules are further dissected into a smaller structures. These structures are microscopic structures and are known as the alveoli. Alveoli are air sacs that are lined by simple squamous epithelium, and this ensures delivery of oxygen to the branches of the pulmonary capillaries and diffusion on the other side of carbon dioxide from the branches of the pulmonary capillaries to the alveoli to be expelled out in the air. The functions or the function of the lung are so vital in the delivery of oxygen in three processes or three mechanisms that are important to the respiratory mechanism. Inspiration, which means bringing air or oxygen inside the lungs, and expiration, which means expulsion of carbon dioxide outside the lungs. The lungs also perform ventilation, which simply means movement of air in and out of the lungs. The lungs also perform gas exchange or gas diffusion, and this simply means delivery of oxygen to the tissues and expulsion of carbon dioxide or diffusion of carbon dioxide from the tissues to the alveoli. Also, the lungs work in providing the tissues and the cells with the oxygen that is needed for cellular respiration. This is so vital for production of ATP or the energy molecule that all the tissues and the nerves and the heart, muscles and the brain tissues needs to maintain homeostasis. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope to see you in another video in one of our series of anatomy and physiology. Thank you.